The number one exercise to burn belly fat and boost heart health is, ready?
Ready.
Walking.
Walking.
The humble walk.
Oh.
It's so great in terms of helping to reduce belly fat as well as boosting heart health. And I'll tell you why. Because when you walk, walking is actually part of a category of activities that we refer to as NEAT, which collectively account for a massive calorie burn. At the end of the day, fat storage is about calories in versus calories out, i.e. energy balance.
Mm-hmm.
However, increasing NEAT throughout the day, which includes walking, it can include dancing, it can include even fidgeting, is a massive calorie burn, accounting for anywhere between 300 and 1,000 calories every single day. This is potentially way more than you could potentially would even want to burn on a cardio machine.
Yeah.
And also with regard to weight gain. So as I mentioned, energy balance dictates whether or not we're gaining or losing weight, right?
Mm-hmm.
But where you distribute your weight on your body is actually subject to hormonal influence. And the primary hormone that dictates whether or not you are storing primarily belly fat is actually cortisol. And this is why sometimes in people who are chronically stressed out, they take on a phenotype that is easily observable and recognizable. They often will have huge bellies, skinny limbs. That's sort of the stressed out, the chronically stressed out phenotype. Occasional stress is fine, but when somebody is under the chronic influence of the hormone cortisol, which is naturally meant to spike in the morning and then come down and spend the rest of the day at a lower level, people who are chronically stressed out have chronically high levels of cortisol. They take on that sort of apple-shaped body, which we know is associated with worse heart health, and also increased belly fat, which is visceral fat that is stored ectopically around the organs and secretes pro-inflammatory hormones and the like. And so walking, again, is one of the most powerful exercises to get rid of belly fat and to potentially help redistribute your weight, because it's a great way to mitigate stress. They've shown that even one 10-minute walk can significantly boost neurochemicals associated with reward and pleasure and reduce hormones related to stress.
Interesting. Can I go back real quick onto like what you talked about with NEAT? Is that an acronym? Like what is NEAT?
Yeah. So NEAT actually stands for non-exercise activity thermogenesis.
Okay.
Thermogenesis is the creation of heat, the burning of calories. And walking is technically not considered an exercise because it's something that we're born to be able to do as bipedal organisms, right?
Yes.
But walking would be categorized under NEAT. Also, walking and other low intensity activities, they oxidize primarily fat as a energy substrate.
Mm.
It's only the high intensity anaerobic exercise where we tend to tap into our sugar stores, our glycogen stores in our muscles, right? Like when you're doing battle ropes or if you're doing hill sprints, it's really that high intensity glycolytic exercise that burns sugar. But low intensity or LISS, low intensity steady state exercise like walking, great way to tap into your fat stores and to burn fat. Again, weight will be dictated ultimately by whether or not you're consuming more calories than you're burning, or vice versa over the course of the day. But walking is a great way to get those fat burning that fat burning machinery in your body fired up.
So what we mentioned cortisol and that having something to do with belly fat. What does walking do to cortisol? Like if cortisol is high in the morning and low as you go out throughout the day, should you walk in the morning to help lower that cortisol, or what's the walking cortisol relationship?
Yeah, I think the way that we should be thinking about cortisol is we don't want it to be chronically elevated. And the way to prevent that is to find ways of effectively managing our stress.
Okay.
And this isn't just psychological stress due to external influence. It's also the stresses that might be self-imposed, like excessive fasting, for example, or excessive caffeine intake, which can increase levels of cortisol, or by eating too few carbohydrates. I think a lot of people, there's this sort of obsession with low carb dieting these days. And I think that low carb dieting absolutely has its place. I'm for all intents and purposes, a fan of low carb dieting. But I think it's important to remember that very low carbohydrate diets and particularly ketogenic diets are essentially starvation mimetic diets.
Mhm.
They mimic some of the physiological processes that occur when under starvation, right? Like the generation of ketones. Ketogenic diets are great because they provide a way of mimicking that physiologic state while still allowing the ketogenic dieter to eat food, right?
Mhm.
Like you still get to eat food, but your body thinks that it's kind of, halfway in this like starvation state. That's a stress on the body. So that can contribute to elevated cortisol levels. And um, so we just want to be mindful of that. I think trying to mitigate the morning cortisol spike is not smart
Okay.
because cortisol, I mean, even after everything that we've said about chronically elevated cortisol levels, it's important to recognize that cortisol is not bad. It's
Right.
a hormone that it's our primary waking hormone. It's a fat burning hormone. It's it's what gets us out of bed in the morning. So I don't think that we should necessarily want to micromanage it
Okay.
until it becomes a problem.
Okay. So relating that back to walking, walking is, you mentioned the study about how walking even 10 minutes can help reduce stress, which therefore can help with belly fat.
Yeah.
What other benefits does walking have?
So many benefits. Well, it boosts heart health in the sense that it can help reduce triglycerides. So all non-exercise activity can help reduce circulating triglycerides, which is essentially fat in the blood. And it does this by increasing the expression of lipoprotein lipase, which is an enzyme at muscle um, that helps to basically cleave off fatty acids and bring them into our muscle tissue for use as fuel. And so what that does is it helps get rid of fat in the blood, which can directly boost heart health because having high triglycerides is a risk factor for cardiovascular disease.
Okay.
It also helps to improve blood flow. Obviously, it helps to improve blood flow to the brain. Being sedentary literally drains blood from the brain, and just just walking, just getting up and going for a 2-minute walk, can help normalize cerebral perfusion, which is blood flow in the brain. Um, so there are all kinds of good things that walking, also for lymphatic flow. There's so many great things that walking does. It's really one of the most, I think, uh, beneficial exercises that there is. It's really phenomenal.
So with walking, since it's not like I'm going to a boxing class, it's like something you can do on your own. Does it need to be done all at once, like one 45-minute walk, or can we do 3 15-minute walks? I mean, we had Joe Holder on who does exercise snacking. Like, how do we incorporate this walking into our daily lives to maximize the ability of eliminating belly fat?
Yeah. It's I don't think you need to do it all at once. I think it's great to do it all at once, but it can also um, but if you're doing it all at once, that implies that you're being sedentary for the whole rest of the day. So I actually think it's probably better to break it up and to just integrate more movement into your over the course of 24 hours.
Okay,
Um,
cool.
yeah. So, but that's not to say that long walks aren't also great. Like it's great to do.
Right.
It's great to do those long walks as well.
Okay. I have a question about pace.
Yeah.
Does it need to be like a speed walker pace or like a brisk pace or like just get out there and one foot in front of the other?
I think a moderate pace is great.
Okay.
It's a pace that you can sustain. I think
Okay.
walking at a pace that you can sustain and comfortably. Uh, maybe you'll feel a little bit out of breath while having a conversation.
Mhm.
But something that again you can sustain. I think that's a great way to sort of think about this. You don't want to walk so intensely that you can't talk. That wouldn't be. It's the low intensity, steady state exercise that I think is really, really beneficial.
Okay. So with walking, we're talking about losing belly fat. So are you suggesting like if someone wants to lose weight that like walking will work versus a high intensity training class? Like,
Well, the difference is all forms of exercise are great. So high intensity interval training is great for stimulating mitochondrial adaptation, for boosting insulin sensitivity, for lowering blood sugar, right? For actually utilizing the sugar that's stored in muscles, because again, it's that anaerobic glycolytic high intensity exercise
Mhm.
that requires sugar that's stored in your muscle tissue, right? So there's absolutely a place for high intensity um, interval training, right? Resistance training is another.
I was going to ask about that because I
Yeah,
always think of Sal from
yeah,
Mind Pump when we talk about resistance training. So,
we love cell.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, resistance training is incredible, great. Also, I mean, resistance training is another form of anaerobic exercise. Um, but also, I mean, it helps to grow new muscle tissue, which is, I mean, that boosts your metabolism to some degree.
Mhm.
There's actually a debate. Gabrielle Lyon and the Mind Pump guys. Gabrielle Lyon argues that it's not significant enough of an increase in metabolism to make it worth talking about. But the guys in Mind Pump are always like, yeah, but any increase in metabolism is better than a decrease in metabolism,
Right.
right?
And that with resistance training.
Yeah, with resistance training. Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Interesting.
but we know, yeah,
Huh,
it's
I didn't know
funny.
that. Yeah.
Meatheads, they have
I think I'd take
strong
Dr.
opinions.
Lyon's side is all I'm saying. But
I'll take Sal's side.
of course you do.
But no, it's great. It's great. Building strong muscles directly correlated to longevity, to better brain health. So resistance
Okay.
training is great. And then, moderate intensity cardio exercise also has its place. You can walk more briskly or jog if you'd like.
Mhm.
And that mainly is, I think, beneficial to give your cardiovascular system a workout, to increase levels of BDNF, brain derived neurotrophic factor, which can support brain health. All forms of exercise, it's, I think now, we're starting to see can do that. There are um, things that occur in the body when exercising that are kind of conserved among exercise modalities. So no matter what it is that we're doing, I mean, we see, you'll see an aerobic benefit for doing resistance training, um, and you'll get a benefit to your cardiovascular system when doing resistance training. Um, but So yeah, with regard to exercise, I think whatever modality you most enjoy doing, do
Mhm.
that. But also walking is something that I feel like doesn't get enough credit,
Yeah.
because it's like we think of it as, I don't know, being just too modest or
Yeah. Or
not.
something to get you from point A to point B, and that's it.
Yeah.
Like,
Or you don't see really fit influencers on Instagram talking about how beneficial walking
yeah.
is, right? Just doing more movement, right? We see this glorification of really intricate and obtuse
Mhm.
exercise, like workouts and
Yeah.
stuff like that, right?
Expensive.
Yeah, expensive
Yeah.
like gym memberships, but you'll get massive gains from just like increasing your movement more throughout the day, just walking more throughout the day. If you're trying to lean out, for example, just walk more.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I
it's
do
great.
think I will bring a millennial Gen Z voice into this for a moment, but on TikTok, the like hot girl walks have become massive. So like there's a lot of people talking about walking, but like I think it's great to talk about why walking is beneficial. But yeah, there's also a TikTok trend of 12-3-30 where girls or guys too walk on the treadmill for 30 minutes at an incline of 12, speed 3.
Wow. That's the thing?
12-3-30.
12-3-30. That's like
Yeah,
an actual thing?
it's like there's a whole Instagram page about
Wow.
it. So I do think walking is getting some recognition, but I mean, I follow that stuff on social, but I haven't heard the why.
Yeah.
So it was nice to learn the why today.
It's important to remember that we're designed to walk.
Yeah.
Like humans are designed to walk. And it's also something, yeah, that anybody can do for the most part. I mean, we don't want to sound ableist, but it's something that the vast majority of people to
Yeah.
do. We're literally born to be able to do it.
Right.
And I mean, the fact that we walk upright, like being bipedal, is like core to who we are, right?
Yeah.
And so it does all of these incredible things. Again, it gets the fluids moving. There are fluids in your body that don't have a heart, right? Like your blood has the heart, but like lymph fluid, for example,
Mhm.
movement is so crucial. And I think the calorie burn is massive. The fact that it can help to lower triglycerides, which is fat in the blood, put those fats to work, I think that's a fantastic thing. It helps to increase um, beta oxidation, which is like fat utilization in the body. Great thing. It can help de-stress. No matter where you are walking, for the most part, it can help reduce stress. I mean, if you want to ideally walk in a place with greenery, not necessarily alongside a highway, but that stress reduction can help to reduce belly fat because it can reduce stress. And we know that stress preferentially diverts calories to the midsection to create that apple-shaped body.
Interesting.
So it's just super powerful, often underappreciated,
Yeah.
but something that we all, I think, would benefit from doing more. And also, for the most part, everybody now has a smartphone that is automatically tracking steps.
Yes. Max
What?
and I get competitive about steps sometimes.
A little bit.
A little bit.
I've been working. You usually beat me, though.
Yeah.
I've been working really hard to increase my steps.
Yeah.
I live in Los Angeles. It's not like the most walkable city.
So do I.
Yeah. But I feel like, I don't know.
I went and he's not accepting it. I think walking's great. And before we wrap up, I do want to say, like, part of one reason why I love walking is like it's something that you can do together, like as a whole family for the most part, like get the kids involved, get elderly, like you just for the most part can try and do it communally, which is great, which is different than signing up for a workout class to do on your own.
Yeah.
So that's what I do love about it.
A quick walk also helps to reduce blood sugar after a meal. So if you want to reduce post-meal blood sugar, if you've indulged a little bit and you want to micromanage your blood sugar like that, taking a quick walk around the block, great way to, again, it basically increases the expression of what's called lipoprotein lipase, which are these enzymes at the basically in skeletal muscle that help to cleave off triglycerides from circulating lipoproteins like LDL, for example, or VLDL. And it utilizes those fats as a fuel source, and sugar and circulating blood sugar. So it's a great way to help use your body's fuel, right? To use the fuel that you're ingesting, that you're storing. And it's super great. I aim to get about 10,000 steps a day. It's not a magic number or anything like that, but I feel like it's a good sort of moderate amount of steps to be taking. And I feel best on days where I'm walking more.
Where we've walked.
Yeah. I mean, some days I just don't walk much at all, right? Like if I'm busy, I mean, I can look through my phone. There are days where I've walked 2,000 steps, 3,000 steps. I don't feel good on those days.
No.
Yeah. I've said this to you. I feel like my blood is like thickening on those days, right?
Yes, you have said this.
Yeah, due to the lack of movement. It's true.
Not scientific.
Not scientific. But that's just a subjective. That's how I feel. You know?
You're allowed to feel the way you want to feel.
Yeah. So that was the exercise.
Yes.
That
walking
can help reduce belly fat and boost heart health. Hey, if you liked that video, you need to check out this one here, and I'll see you there. The second benefit, sort of related, is that coffee is rich in compounds called polyphenols, which are essentially plant defense chemicals, which also have a prebiotic effect. So polyphenols are loved by gut bacteria.